Hello, viewers. You're welcome to my Words and Words podcast. I am your host, Cate. Welcome back from the past year, and it's a new year before us. Happy New Year. This is a special episode of this podcast, and it's been a while before we caught up, and I'm glad to be back. Today, we shall be talking about an interesting topic. We shall be talking about life, but in the context of a journey. And our topic today is life as a journey. How many of us have seen lots of things happen to us and we wonder if actually we are still on the same track? I would also like to tell us that life is not merely a single journey. It is a combination of small, various journeys that each teaches us something in its own way. But today is special. I will not be doing this alone. I will say I have a special guest or a co-host, and I am excited as you are to know them. So I'm going to request this guest of ours, or my co-hosts, to introduce themselves as we dive into the topic for today. You are welcome to my podcast.
Thank you, Cate.
I am most humbled to host you as my very first person. I know so very many people are going to be so mad at me because I promised to host them, but no one knew it would be this way.
Exactly, and it speaks to what life is. Life is a journey. At times, the adventures just come out of the blue. I didn't expect to be the first guest or to host with Cate at any one time. But here we are.
Absolutely. Kindly introduce yourself to the viewers and tell us who you are.
Thank you, Cate. First and foremost, I'm excited to be here on this particular discussion, the podcast. When Cate told me it is words and words, I think my life has been words and words. That explains as why I pursued the career of journalism, and I chose the path of serving people, where you can't really serve and you can't do journalism minus words. But what is the problem with words? After all, even at the start of life itself, it was a word. You know, in the Bible where they say it was a word, and the word came to life. Let there be. So I'm excited. My name is Stephen Mayombwe, and yeah, I'll say a human being that has appeared on words and words. But at least I'm excited to have this discussion on life as a journey.
Yeah. We're also excited to have you. Yeah. And I met Stephen through Rotaract. We are not really so much of close to each other, but we are acquainted with each other. And we happen to share a lot of things in common, especially when it comes to writing, news, podcasting, and very many other things in that line. And yeah, that explains why he's here. So our topic today is life as a journey. Would you share with us your experience? How has the journey been thus far?
Life as a journey, it is reminding me of starting to look back, forth, thinking about the future envisions for me, the present times where I've come from. But I must say, I came to life just like any other normal human being. I was born in the villages of Luwafu, Makindye. But I must say, I started understanding life when it was time for me to go to school. Starting school, I think that is how I started appreciating and understanding life. You know, there are times when we say we're understanding life, yet actually the parents are understanding our life for us. But for me, I started understanding life when I went to school. Starting school, I started seeing life telling me that you should go to school instead of staying at home, understanding those particular dynamics, shifting from being a mama's boy to going to school, face my hustles. If it is fighting for a pen or for a pencil or a color, it should be me. So life has those particular fights. But what I can say about life is that foundation you have at the start that really defines how far you should move. Because I believe that is important. Even when you're building Kathy, it must start with understanding those particular foundation. And for me, what I believe has been the foundation of my life from the start till now, has been the value has been what my mom taught me, or made all of us to believe at home, that I had actually a voice. For me, that has been like a founding stone in my life, and has defined my journey, knowing that at any one time, my voice matters. And it actually does. Even when I find a Cate, or when I find anybody out there who says, no, your voice doesn't matter, it doesn't take away what I believe in. I tell myself my voice matters. It doesn't mean if somebody hasn't listened to it, it loses the audacity of being my voice. And Cate, yeah, it started at a young age, where it was as simple as our mom bringing the 5 of us on a table and asking us, what should we cook today? Lairo tufumbechi. And when you're coming, you should not just say you should cook posho and beans, or you should cook rice and meat. You must give reasons as to why your choice is better than the other person's choice. So that taught me that really, if you make your point so well, somebody can listen to it, and you would say, today, William, you've won. Today, Ted, you've won. Kevin, you've won. Lawrence, you've won. Today, it's your take, Stephen. And we would really feel proud if you take your, like, now, I think I presented the best paper. Wow. So we started presenting papers early, yes. Kate, we presented our papers that way. And as I grew older, I've come to realize, I think it is something I should go back and ask Mama. I realized perhaps this lady was giving us the spirit of somebodyness and knowing that we matter to the world. And more so because when you realize, it was more like she had already made up her mind on what to cook on that particular day. So she was actually looking for who will speak her mind. And for us, we didn't see that. Because she couldn't change. At times, the matoke gabanga yo store, but somebody who would mention matoke, and it's like, now this one, that is the one we are having today. So yeah, that was life, but for me that has been the journey. Yeah.
The beauty about that is, even when she had it at the back of her mind, she allowed you to express yourself. I think we all deserve that room where we are able to say how we feel about things. But as for me, I don't remember. My mother did not even ask me what to cook. All I remember is we were just very many kids, and my twin sister being very young, growing up home around our other siblings. My dad was not always home. And honestly, there is not so much that I remember from my childhood. As you said, there is a point where life actually starts for all of us, and we start to take note of the things that happen in our lives. And that takes me to something else. When you were young, or as you grew up, what were those dreams or aspirations that you had as a boy, as Stephen, and are you still on that path, or have things changed along the way?
Wow, that's a beautiful question, and it has nearly brought me good purpose to look at, imagine the life. I must say, when you want something, this is it's a quote from a book I've just read. It says that when you want something, the whole world conspires to help you have that.
I know that book. It's The Alchemist.
Thank you so much. That is a powerful book of
Paulo Coelho.
Yes.
I remember that line very well.
You remember the line. Thank you. Now that is the book I've just finished reading. And it's been a powerful book for me.
It is.
I've loved everything of it, and it actually points back to what we are discussing today's life. Remember somebody going to chase for their destiny. Yet actually the destiny is in the place where they're chasing it for. But this writer, Paul, doesn't take away the aspect of reason for why we should go to search for our destiny in other places. If we search for life in those particular places, we come back to this place appreciating. Because if this boy had just discovered the treasure, it would just be something simple. Yes. And this explains life, Kathy, because if you look at it, that the challenges we go through make us appreciate what we get more better. Yes. If you've looked forward to have a child, and you see you get the child, there is that more difference that it makes.
Exactly.
But going back to the point, I started out by looking at being a lawyer. Yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer. I went, life started, but I wanted to be a lawyer who is vocal. Because for me, my points, I had my issues, would urge me, as I've told you, always, if you call me for anything, I'll have my opinion about anything. Even when you ask me what would you say to God, I'll have my ask to God at that particular time. But I wanted to be a lawyer. I started out, of course, nursery and the like. But here I knew the path was something that we must look at. For me, leadership was more like something I yearned to be and have. I felt it was like a passion. I was class monitor from baby to P7. I was head boy for 2 times in primary because there is the way how politics works that I saw at a very young age, but I served for 2 terms. I went to secondary, the same thing, but now the highlight of my life was in Form 5. I'd come out in Senior 4 as the best candidate of Mackenzie Secondary School. Ask me with how many points? With my 17.
No, that's good enough.
But I was the best. So somebody will say, now you're talking about having 17 and you're the best. Yeah, I was the best at Mackenzie Secondary, and that didn't come easily, but I managed to scope a scholarship for my Senior 5. But that scholarship as well came with so much
demands.
Demands. I had to keep the burn of a school high. So when I went to choose a combination that I will do in HSC, I told my teacher, my DOS then, that, you know what, I think I would love to do Hague. Said, what? I had my D2 in mathematics, had my credit 4 in physics, had my D1 in agriculture. So they told me the best you can do PCB. I'm like, look at you. I've never thought about being a scientist. Even when I've passed sciences, doesn't mean that I must be. And it zeroes back to what we are discussing today. Life as a journey. What do you see in yourself and what do you want to be? So we zeroed down and said, with what I see, you cannot take our points. We can't have our best student doing arts. How about PEM? Like PEM? Yeah. I said, let me take PEM. Not because I wanted it, but because I had to do it, and most of my friends were doing PEM. But that wasn't me choosing, really. So we ventured out. We are the pioneers of 20 points.
Oh.
So I started out with 12 points. I zeroed down to 10. And in those 12, I was among the best in the science class those times.
You're just a sharp
kid. Okay, yeah. But ask me, I would understand the differentiation, the integrations in class, the pure 1, pure 2, heat, physics, anything, economics. For economics, of course, it was my thing. I loved it. But when I would go to the library, as science students were getting the QB, that's the question bank, to do the numbers, what we've discussed. For me, I would say, librarian, could you give me a book of Napoleon to read through? You see how misplaced I was.
Yes.
Science class, I passed the numbers in classwork, but when instead of relaxing in a QB, I relax in Napoleon. I would ask Bampeku history wa Uganda, so I'm a Luganda language enthusiast. I want to know what more is there. I've read, and I love reading. So they would find me and say, "Is a student reading about Napoleon?" I would tell him, and things didn't work out so well. First term, points went on reducing. Second term, I think I had 10. Third term, I had 6. Wow. They called my mother. And my mother's like, Stephen, they said Stephen always interviewing service, but we can't, we can't ask what? Stephen. Because he was our best candidate. He has the ability to as well sort himself. Because he can't be able to have it together. I sat down with my mom and told her, now let me be honest with you. This has never been me. My people that were no match to me are having the 18 out of 20, are having the 17 out of 20. And for me, I'm here and they're discussing of whether I should not be asked, oh, what should I do? I told her,
That was not your passion.
that was not me. And I'm changing combination right now. That was in December. Remember in December, for serious schools, they should have completed their syllabus and the like. And that was the same for Makinde Secondary School. It's a good school along Salama Road. And I am a proud Obi there. So I went home, I told her, you know what, I'm going to do Hague. History, economics, and geography. Ha! He said, wow. I told her, do you know what I'm going to do? First and foremost, let it be between me and you. Don't even tell my father or our siblings at home. Can we do this? He said, but can the school allow you to do it? I went to the principal. I explained, I said, after all, what was binding was like, St. as a senior 5, it's been the school money. Now this is your money now. Let's fight for your money now. Senior 5, I was like, Asta, people haven't been paying your money. I've wasted school money and my efforts. Now let's say. I thank God for the man called Saba Charles. He's now the head teacher much in DSS. By then he was deputy and the head of history. When I went to him to share, like as the first person to discuss with that, you know what, I want to do Hague. He told me, you have an A in history. I'm like, Mr. Saba, come on. He said, yeah, I've finished history. African nationalism is done. European history, we are almost done. We are just in revision. But what you're going to do, if you do what I've told you to do, you're going to have an A. I'm like, you man, that is overconfidence in me. He said, you have an A in history. But he told me, ask me how. I said, how? He said, promise me that you're going to go back and copy notes using your hands from the word, what is history?
To the end.
To the end. And he told me if you do that, so as people were enjoying Christmas and the like, I had to look, he told me look for Rinda. And yeah, that is how things worked out. And in the end, yeah, we worked out. And when I went back to my path, things turned out in a way. And yeah, I should tell you that things came out when I had passed my Hague with 17 out of 20. Because I believed in it and things worked out. And that is life.
Yeah, I think we share in the journey. As for me, I remember I was very bad at math. Everyone who is a friend of mine knows I was terrible at math.
Pure math, eh?
Math generally. From primary up to the end, I was doing badly. And my parents almost gave up on me, honestly speaking.
About math?
Math, because I was the best student at primary still. But I had a 4 in math. I had 1, then 4 somewhere in math. I got to high school, and I am trying, but the best I could do was a 60 in math. And that was in senior 1. But my parents, with the person they were, especially my dad, we had to be scientists. We had to do sciences.
Either or.
You struggle through, I struggled through life, generally school, but then in senior 4, I did not do badly, but I had a credit 4 in math. And they couldn't give me math. But my sister had done well. My twin sister had done well. I think Shada did too. They gave her BCM. Bweranyanji.
Wow.
And what my father said, PCB sub-math.
For you?
Exactly. Guess who was doing PCB sub-math? In A level.
And also mathematics is also in physics. How was it?
Everything I struggled through. The best thing for me was biology. I was doing well. Chemistry, I was fair. Physics, I was bad. And my father knew the teacher. They would keep calling themselves and it was bad. I remember at that point, it's at the time my mother gave up on us. She said, I will not come back to visit you after mock results. I think we had failed terribly, both of us. My mother said, I will never come back to visit you. Like, she literally gave up on us. But my father pushed on. He visited us up to the end, and Form 6 came. Yeah, didn't do badly, and I wanted to do medicine. I couldn't get medicine. My sister got medicine. I got engineering. And I became the engineer that I am. But when I look back at the person that I wanted to be, I'm not sure. I wanted to be,
Yeah,
I
an
didn't
engineer.
want to do engineering. I wanted to do medicine because that was who we are. We are a medical family. My father, my mother, my sister, my other sister, and growing up in such an environment, there is a way it impacts on the person you become. So for me, medicine was a thing, but then I became engineering, and I think this takes me to something, the challenges that we have faced.
How are you finding, before I actually get there, I would love to delve into your story because it is exciting. For me, I changed course and felt that journalism was my calling and said, Jusa, I'm like, lawyer, I will go back and have it at one time. But for you, how do you find yourself an engineer in a doctor's family? Like now, how do you find yourself?
No, it's okay. My family, provided you did sciences, because
was
I
good
say
enough.
it was good enough. We have 4 medical people, 2 engineers, 2 accountants, purely sciences. Now, campus for me was the real path, the definition of how hard
Life
can
is.
be. For me, I gave up in first year campus because we had math 1, and the moment I entered in that class and they told me math 1, in my head I
You're
had
like,
given up.
you signed up already.
And that was where my parents were not understanding. So my first year was wasted. I was not at school. There was no passion. Even my second year at campus. I woke up in third year, which was too late. Too late that it's hard to reverse those grades because it's hard to do that CGPA thing when you have failed before. So at that point, I remember we had a lecturer called Ben. I hated Ben. And I hope he watches this. I hated him so much. But Ben was a smart guy. Every time I entered in his class, I was not understanding one thing or two. But he knew it. He would see me and know this girl, no. And that's where I hated him because he was teaching hard things. Then the turning point for me was there's a time, that same course for that particular lecturer, the results come back. I had failed. It's embarrassing. I can't even mention my grade.
But here you're the engineer now. That was a path to life. And that is the beauty of life we are discussing
Guys, I want
today.
to cry, but I can't.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I sat in that class and cried with that paper of mine. I was the last person in that room, but there's this one person who noticed me. They walked up to me and asked me, Kathy, what's wrong? I told them, yeah, I can't do this. I cannot do it anymore. I even wanted to write to my parents and tell them I can't.
I want to tell them, yeah, young. They have refused totally.
Had refused, by the way. But this friend of mine, Paul, was so eager. And I'm doing this to acknowledge the contribution he has up to this point of my life. On this journey, Paul picked my hand. Paul taught me from basics. Every little thing, all those courses that had math, mechanics, words, everything, engineering, everything, Paul would teach me. I mean, we would be in class and I would just be passing time. So after we would have our different lessons with Paul, take me through every part of it. And I think for me, if it wasn't for Paul, I would never have graduated engineering. But then I did. I graduated engineering. My parents were happy, and up to this date, I don't know if I really want to do the engineering, but I am practicing it. And I think about going further in my studies, and I tell people I want to do like mass comm or journalism, because honestly, that's who I am. I love to speak. I love words. I love writing. And everyone says that's wasting a course you have done before. You have to continue with the engineering. And for me, life has been that, not being able to make a decision on your own, and you have to face something the hard way.
You know, as you're speaking, what has come to my mind, you have a particular version of Michelle Obama. She was, yeah, you do have that. You do have that because, look, you almost share a story with her, because for her, she as well was a lawyer. But she didn't feel, and it was a very paying good job, and just like engineering here in Uganda, when it's an engineer, it is a very paying job. And journalism, this side of us, we are hustlers, Mwanagwe. We are trying out with life, but either way, we enjoy ourselves as we are. For Michelle, afterwards, she had to shift to philanthropy. But she had her mother, Michelle Robinson, who would say, you want to live lawyer? look at your bills. Can this philanthrope of yours
Pay the
pay
bills.
the bills? They said, no, please stay there. So, but for you, I thank God that you're good already. What you're doing is journalism already. What you're looking for may be the papers. But here we are. You're doing what some journalists haven't really thought about doing, having their personal podcast. And here you are, you're hosting me on your own podcast.
Unbelievable. No, but you see, one thing I tell people that everything I write, unless I am writing about you as a person, I do not share it with everyone else. If I've written about you, there are specific people who meet me there, and I want to let them know. And I write pieces for them. I will share those. But there are others that I have never shared. But the hope is that one day I am going to use this podcast, I'm going to use my writing to get that job. That ask me, what have you done? And I'll say, I have been doing this. And maybe that will be everything I need.
And also now you have all the avenues to be a practicing journalist like you're doing, multimedia, TikTok, sharing your stories on Medium and everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep going.
Thank you. So back to life as a journey. I would like you to highlight a few challenges that you faced. Actually, you have faced and are still facing, living your dream, being the journalist, journalism as the person that you are, and general life. What were those challenges? I remember you spoke of the book Alchemist by Paul. It's a small, but I think it's a wonderful book.
Yeah, I loved it.
Paul says that the fear of suffering is greater than the suffering itself. And every time I am going through something and I am scared, I'm like, no, at least I better suffer than fear the suffering. And I think he looks at things in a very unique way. Because you see, the thought of it alone can destroy you. The thought that things are hard, that you can't make it, can stop you from making it. And that's where the suicide people commit comes from. Because I think there's a song I listened to, is I don't remember the title, but the person says that, how could you let your mind convince you to the point of suicide? You see, because everything you are telling yourself, everything is in your head. So it comes to the suffering. You tell yourself that it is going to be bad, you can never go through it, but that's all fear. And yet, you can actually go through the suffering. So there are lots of challenges, which we have overcome, by the way, but can you share like a few of them?
You know, as you were discussing here, I've been trying to get back, flashback to look at moments that have tried me. First and foremost, Kathy, for me, I've always wanted the limelight, but the limelight costs so much. For example, student politics, that is something that started as a challenge in my life. I don't come from a family that has so much, but I think they have so much love. And I knew I would count on them at every one time. And I thank God my books were working out, so that played the magic sometimes. At least you would want to get the knowledge, not the money. So in things, at times I was challenged by people. Let's say it's a campaign for student leader, and you see your opponent investing in so much money, and for you don't even have a quota. Somebody puts the entire campus and puts posters everywhere, but for you actually cannot do that. For me, those are things that have tried me so much. But I thank God for the gift of my mother. I think she has not been so rich. My mother has been a stay-at-home mother, but always manages her small car business. But for me, she would always give me a listening ear. I don't know whether because I'm her last boy, like I'm the youngest in the boys, but not the last born.
Vibes, huh?
Yes, but so you would come home and tell them, I'm in this campaign and I would need 50,000 for sweets. So you want 50,000 for sweets? And my brother said, who has all that money to waste? Just go if they vote for you. Yeah, and mom would say, now where would you think you'd get that money? Impossible. Look, where are we going to get all that money? So early in the morning, before everyone wakes up, she would feel him waking. Well, Stephen, wake up. Stephen Zukuka. She gives Eka 30, says, I know. show them what you're made of. At least
knew
love
someone
me. Like,
believed
even what you say, at least I have somebody who believes in me and things work out. And this explains one of the biggest challenges I faced. For me, I had very many questions during that time of choosing combination, like changing literally. They gave me 2 options. They told me that if you change, there are 2 options. If you go in change combination in senior 6 first term, if you don't get 11 points out of 20, you either go back to PEM or you go back to senior 5 and wait for others. And I thought about the mockery that would come with it. Look, this was a boy who was the best candidate. Now he has gone back. And they asked me, do you mind forfeiting some of the titles you had? I was the information minister. I was the Sentebe Nkoba Zambogo and the debating coordinator of A-level. So I told them, no, I will not forfeit any. Because if I forfeit any, I would have lost myself.
Sure.
So, but thank God I had a fallback position, because life has got very many challenges. And some of the challenges that we've faced have come from my friends, not my enemies. I think I trust people easily and so much, and I'm learning to not to do that anymore. Most of the challenges and the problems that I've gone through have been betrayals by friends here and there. Yeah, but God has been good. There is always a way. That's what Alchemist just like said. At any one time, me, I know I'm always on the right. I'm not the righteous person, and I can't say that, but at least I know that when I cry to God, it works out. And the book that we all share, like you remember that Alchemist, where they say that if you're focusing on achieving something for the good, every spirit and every being of the world conspires for you to win. And that is the point.
Nothing, not even love, can stop a man from achieving his destiny.
And that is it.
The choice of words. What do you mean not even love? That's like the best thing. But okay, he's trying to say nothing absolutely
and you know,
can stop someone.
Before I even forget, let me tell you one of the moving stories that I found exciting in that book that made me read it. And you know, there are very many books that have had impacts on our life. I will tell you about Think Big. It was a founding book when I was changing, Ben Carson. When I was changing combination, Think Big was my book. It made me believe that if Carson, who was a dumb boy, can do it, how about me who has been somewhere. But now the point that I want to tell you from that book, Alchemist, that we all share, that as well speaks to this beauty of life, that maybe I would want our viewers as well to pick from this thing. He talks of a very beautiful young man. You know, if a person goes from handsome, can become beautiful. So there was this beautiful young man who was very convinced of how beautiful and handsome he was. So every time he would go to a particular lake to watch and appreciate his beauty. So he would look into the lake and was like, my God, how beautiful I am. And because the things worked out that way, it reached a time and he drowned in the lake. And when he drowned in the lake, he died. So when he died, from the spot where he died, there sprout a beautiful flower like this one. A beautiful flower. So in the beautiful flowers there was the goddess of the waters and the goddess of the forest. When the goddess of the forest came to check on the flower that has sprouted, he said, hello, goddess of water, why are you crying? So, the goddess of the forest had come to take water, some of the water. When she tasted the water, she said, this water is tasty, is salty. Why is it salty? It is because you're crying. And the goddess of the water said, yeah, because I lost someone. Said, because you lost someone? Said, oh, Bambi, you should really weep for that young man. If those of us would see from afar, his beauty would be yearning to meet, then how about you, who every time he would look into you, you must really weep. And this one asked, hey, you mean he was handsome? The goddess of water asked, you mean that young man was handsome? And said, look at you. Who says that? Who is in better position to tell whether this young man was actually handsome?
Not you.
Oh no, not you who was actually looking directly. Then the goddess of water took some time and responded. He said, the reason as to why I'm weeping and crying is not for that young man. And as a matter of fact, I don't know whether he was handsome or not. I'm only weeping because it was through his eyes that I would see my own beauty. So this goddess was weeping Because through this guy's eyes, when he would look in the waters, this goddess would see a beauty and say like, my God, I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of life. Sometimes people forget that they are handsome because
Of other people.
of other people. And if we understand that basic item of life, that Kathy is good because of the people that he looks into. Looks at it like, yeah, if I look at Steven and the way he says that and how I'm doing it, I'm beautiful. And at times we must appreciate that our beauty only comes when we are supported and when we are supportive to others. So really there are many lessons as we're discussing life as a child.
Yeah, but I think the general life is a cocktail of bittersweet. Today things are okay, tomorrow they are not okay. But what matters is that you keep going. You keep going. For me, I've looked back and honestly, you see, while before at the age we are, money is not always the most important thing. It's not a challenge because we have someone holding our hand, and that is our parents. They are going to be there. You can call every time you are stuck. And honestly, for me, family is the one thing that they will hold you down always. So money is not the big challenge before the age we are at because you trust someone has your back. But after when you start to actually now have a life of your own, there's a lot that comes in. You have responsibilities, you have bills to pay, and it just takes you back at how strict your parents were, how they were not allowing you to just do certain things. And you see, people say that our parents were, now when you grow, you now see why your parents were the kind of parents they are.
And they were better than how you would be.
So for me, challenges, it's just that you cannot do something, you do not have the capacity or the self in you to do something, maybe trials here and there, lack of faith, failing at campus, but they're not major. You just need someone to believe in you. Like you said, your mother always believed in you. That's all we need on the journey. Just the one person to hold your hand and tell you it is okay, it is well, you can keep moving.
And yeah, as you're talking, for example, there would be somebody who would say, I think if I had a mother like Steven's, or I had a supporting family like of Cate. Look, I've realized, I think after reading that particular book, that we have our instinct that was given to us at birth, that we call your soul. Always speak to your soul.
Yeah.
That soul has answers, and there are times when you have to keep quiet unto yourself and ask, what do you think? There is always that inner being of yours, and it really exists. But the problem is, how many times do we have the time to listen to it?
The inner voice.
The inner voice. And there are times where I've seen it work. You know, there are times where your inner being tells you, you've loved to go to this particular party, but don't go there. And actually, you might hear that people who went to that party suffered something bad. There is always you, when you ask yourself, yourself, you ask yourself, what would Cate do? The other Cate.
Yeah.
There are times when you should be there and people say, but actually you're having that personal conversation. So trust your soul because it was given to you when it was pure. We always taint it. But of course, when we get time like this one, if you ask me what I'm doing now on this Word and Words, I'm replenishing my soul because I'm enjoying the discussion and it is purely, I'm having it purely because,
I think it's the subconscious. There's that subconscious, the mind, the subconscious mind. But you see, it's been really a lot here and there, and I think we need to wrap up this conversation. And there are certain things I would like you to tell the viewers as we wrap up, because we are coming to the end of this particular episode of Life as a Journey. In case you missed the topic at the start, Life as a Journey, and we have been sharing our different journeys, the path, the challenges, the choices we had to make, how difficult it got, and how far we have come. There are certain things I would like you to share as we conclude. One is, what do you do if you're at a crossroad in this life? And if you take our points, really, what do you like people to know? Given that we are starting the year and we are very ambitious, we have goals, we have dreams and aspirations, what is that takeaway thing? What's the one thing you would tell me that every time I am low, I would look back and I'm like, I think this will take me another day. So you can think about that as we conclude. Yeah. But I also would like to say that oftentimes we lose sight of this journey. And we are focusing on a bigger picture, and yet the picture is now. You just need to live now, live in the moment, appreciate everything coming your way, live life the way it comes, face the challenges, overcome them, make the decisions, regret some. But if you're able to keep believing in yourself, keep moving, I think for me that's what really matters. And I would like to tell you something as we are preparing for this podcast with him. He mentioned something, and for me, really, honestly, that was the highlight for the podcast. And I remember telling him that I quoted him and I said Mayombe 2024, because that line is everything we have been doing here. And this is what he said. He reminded me and you that oftentimes the journey is the destination. Honestly, even if you have not picked something from this podcast,
let's make that one that the journey itself is the destination.
I hope you remember that your journey now is the destination, and everything else will fall right in its place. And for me, that is like almost my parting shot, but I'm going to request Stephen just briefly really to give us something that we can part with.
Thank you so much, Kathy. It's been a very exciting discussion, and hopefully you would pick one or two from our discussion, because we are sharing our personal lives and we are opening up to you. What I would love you, our dear viewers, to think about is that there are many times when we tell problems, we mention to God how big our problems are, instead of actually telling our problems that we have a big God in life. I think there are very times where we should always face the problem and we tell it, you're a big problem, but face me. Sisoboka. I'm not an easy nut to crack. And let me wrap up by telling you the beauty of life. The beauty of life is like a bamboo tree. When you look at a bamboo tree, when somebody sees it having sprout, it shoots to almost 150 meters. But should I tell you, it takes the bamboo tree 5 years in the ground, 5 years to sprout. But when it sprouts, it takes 6 months to shoot 150 meters. Only 6 months. But somebody who sees it at 6 months would say, my God, look at this bamboo. It has grown in 6 months. Forgetting there has been 5 hard years of actually going through the progress. But what people don't see is the 5 years in the ground. They only focus on the 6 months. So for whoever person you see or where you want to be, don't forget the 5 years these people have been on ground and no one has been seeing them. You don't focus on the 6 months. Let's give an example of an ice. If an ice is supposed to melt at 32 degrees Celsius, it will not melt, but you can't just put it at 32. Temperatures keep changing. If somebody finds it at 31 degrees Celsius, they will say, this ice won't melt. Kumbe, the energy is not lost. It's being stored inside what is breaking it. When it breaks, it melts at 32. People are like, it has taken it an instant. Forgetting these energies that have been stored. So for whatever fight we're having in this journey of life, let's not forget that the energies and the investment we are making in ourselves is not lost, but stored. Keep moving forward. President Obama says progress is like 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. 1 step backward, but at many times we concentrate on the 1 step backward, and we forget that there is one we took, but when we subtract it for us, we focus, oh, I've had a setback, forgetting the many steps we've moved forward. Let's keep moving forward. And let's live life just like Cate has said. Life is about to be lived.
Really. Thank you for watching. And remember to subscribe to my podcast, Words and Worlds. And it's been nice hosting you. My most gracious honor to have hosted you on this podcast today. And we thank everyone who has been part of our podcasting journey, especially my journey. There are people I would like to shout out to. Maybe I would like to thank Abe Mugumia and Abbas Gwanaheri. They have been very, very supportive, and they have taught me a thing or two on this podcast journey. And honestly, I wish you a very great year. Just do what you can. Don't beat yourself up. Be happy. live in the moment, love your family, make some friends. Yeah, friendship is a big thing. I love friends and I really value them. So have some friends out there that you can talk to when things are not going so well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wish you
works.
all the best. Yeah, keep moving. Have faith in yourself. And yeah, we love you. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.